Hello, and welcome to my DebConf presentation this year. Titled is Adulting. It's a bit generic. We'll get into details. Details are, which is the main point of the talk. So after this slide, you can leave if you need, because that's all I wanted to say. That adulting is realizing that we need to learn to take care of each other, because we cannot rely anymore on someone else taking care of us. And now I'll go into details for what this means for us as a project. But because Debian doesn't have a company that takes care of admin things, so we need to take care of admin things. Doesn't have whatever support infrastructure, all the support infrastructure we have is our own. So we cannot rely on someone else taking care of us. But that doesn't mean that each of us needs to be the superhero that takes care of everything. We need to learn to take care of each other as a community. So as Debian, we are doing serious stuff. There's lots of people using Debian, lots of systems, derivatives, communities. I couldn't find any number on the website. We need to help the website people to keep numbers up to date, to help people giving presentations. And it's used by school climate research, serious critical infrastructure, aerospace, nuclear research, disaster response. My laptop, which is more important than all of that combined. We are doing serious stuff. And we will be doing even more serious stuff because, unfortunately, Red Hat Enterprise Linux seems to do everything they can to get away from the marketplace and leave it all to us. Thank you. We didn't ask for it. It would have been fine as it were, but like, we don't want all this other responsibility, you know. But apparently, no, they're really bent on the fact that if you need to do a new deploy for something really serious now, you need to think twice before entering an ecosystem where a company can decide to burn the ecosystem for money, for short-term money at any point. So, yeah, we are going to become even more relevant in mission-critical infrastructure. So, yeah. We celebrated 30 years of Debian. Can we do? Can we do another 30 the way we do things now? I see your faces. I'd rather be dead, right? So, that means something. That means that we need to do something to change the way we do things in a way that the next time I ask, can we do another 30 the way we do things now, the reply is yes. And that's like the point of this talk. We cannot rely on others to take care of us, as I said. Yeah, adulting is full of memes on the internet, so you get some. And we need to get serious stuff done. Debian doesn't really have deadlines. We release when it's ready. But then occasionally we have deadlines, like trademark law requires that you actually file your request before a specific date, or pay the hosters of something, or keep documents safely stored for a project which is like 30 years old. Remember that original of that document, who has it, that was registered like 15 years ago, la la la. Talk to other communities that have different ways of doing things. And then track team health. How are we on our proposed set of features? Approve budgets, because we do have budgets in Debian. It's actually a quite significant budget, which requires adulty responsibilities to do it. And in our everyday Debian work, we can try to look serious, to pretend we are adult, and give a software engineer a fish and feed them for a day, teach a software engineer how to fish, and they will tell you your solution is inefficient and starve to death, try to optimize. That's familiar for Debian lists. And as you, for example, say you talk to a lawyer, and a lawyer tells you this, furthermore, we would like to point out that the more comments and questions you have, the higher our fees and invoices will be. Now this is the perfect reply to mailing list threads. The more comments and questions you have, and because they're a lawyer, they didn't add useless. But because they are lawyers, you can read it very well. The more comments and questions you have, the higher the fees, the higher the cost that discussion will have. Pedantry is easy. Technical excellence requires looking at big pictures, deciding strategies, and committing to them. Perfect is the enemy of good enough. You create a document, like a proposal, RFC, DEP, something. You submit it to Debian people, and if you want to know if people read it, you can see that because people start pointing out grammar mistakes. Then, okay, somebody's read it, but then will you get help? Will you get actual feedback? Pointed out where the proposal has issues and how they could be overcome. That is more significant problem because it takes people engaging with the thing and engaging with the goal, not just with the document, and then working together to go to that goal. Or we can try to look for replacement adults, which come in two ways that I could identify. One is the hero/martyr, of which we have a lot in Debian. Debian runs on the blood of heroes. Remember to thank your hero regularly so they're guilt-tripped into keep doing what they do. Or you can get narcissists that will pretend that they take care of you as long as you worship them, which also happens. So yeah, the horrified moment when you're looking for an adult and you realize that you are an adult, so you start looking for an adultier adult. But that is not sustainable. A hero will eventually burn out. Someone who takes a leadership position because they want to be worshipped, after a while will burn out everyone else. We can try denial. Project is still running, so it will keep running, right? I mean, it ran for 30 years. It will run for another one. So like in the good old days of the child bedroom, you drop the ball, pretend that everything is fine and move on. Somebody else will step in, stumble on the ball, find the mess, and take a day off work to tidy up. Who of you has been that someone in Debian? Right. I see hands, yeah. So yeah, but another technique of dealing with adulting is denial. Denial is a very powerful force in the universe. So leave your problem be until it becomes somebody else's emergency. But then at some point, shit gets real. So suppose you get to deal with a Debian emergency, a personal emergency, and a professional emergency. Which one goes first? Well, I realized that in my case, if I have a role of responsibility in a project, which is one of the major operating systems in the world, with 1,000 official members and tens of thousands more in their ecosystem, and for all the use that Debian has and so on, and I'm responsible for something in it that has an emergency, that comes before my job and my family, because it is more important. I run through that. Unless somebody is dying in my job and my family, then... so I became the person in my Debian teams who responded to emergencies. Hello, hero! So my personal and professional life suffered, which is why I have now resigned from all positions of responsibility in Debian. I would like the project to go to a situation where if we have where people who cared so much about Debian could deal with things without burning out and without, but actually be part of teams of people who would step in, help, and turn things into a group effort. So, this was about we cannot rely anymore on someone else taking care of us. But what I really want to talk about is realizing that we need to learn to take care of each other. And this is the beginning of my talk. The means are the end. Yes, our goal is to be the universal operating system and take over the world by whatever means necessary. Well, no. Because what we really are is a community that has a way of interacting, a way of solving conflicts, a way of moving together, a way of coordinating. We see lots of movies where the end justifies the means, and lots of stories, but they all stop at the end. There's never like a what next. The hero goes and kills everyone, and then at the end, the evil is defeated. But then everything is magically fine. There's no trail of destruction that needs to be coped with. We need to improve process, community, mutual care, growth, sustainability, so that we have the tools to travel the road we are traveling for the forever it will take us to reach utopia. Our goals are not reachable. Not obviously reachable. Well, we assume, Debian is impossible. Debian is an impossible thing. That you have so many people coming together to create a universal operating system is the most unlikely thing. So what we do is we create a fiction of the universal operating system. And we use it as the holy grail that we try to find. But to look for the holy grail, the search for the holy grail is not about finding the holy grail, it's about growing in virtue during the search for the Holy Grail. So we have a goal that gives us a sense of direction, and then we work out what is needed to make steps in that direction. And what is needed is not just technical things. It's not just having free software, a free compiler, a free kernel, free firmware, and so on, and free hardware, yes, but it means to have a community that will do something with that. That have people that will integrate the software so that it will work, it can be installed together. Having people that are able to cooperate, because otherwise we need to have a community where the whole is more than the sum of its parts. And what we are as Debian is the means. We have a constitution, we have a code of conduct, we have a diversity statement, we have a DPL, we have GRs, we have all sorts of procedures to work together. That is Debian. Debian is what we did today and how we did it on every single day. We need to get to a point where at the end of the day, you don't go and say, oh, don't give me another day like this, I hated all about it, but you need to get to a point where at the end of the day, it's like, Debian is a really nice place to be. I want another day like this. I'm happy of what I achieved. I'm happy of the people I achieved it with. I'm happy about the interactions I had. That is a quote from a person that will remain anonymous. But when I read it was a punch in the guts. I guess I've become enough of a weasel not to be targeted anymore. But having people you care about insult other people you care about still feels bad. That is a comment on interaction, trying to do something together with others, something important together with others in Debian. And historically, we have dealt with aggression by thickening our skin. You poor snowflake, you are so easily hurt. We come from an age of the internet where memory was measured in trilobytes, and we were used to fighting with sticks and stones for technical supremacy or something. Well, no thanks. That doesn't work anymore. Not at our scale. The rock star that works alone can only go so far. Debian is at a scale where a single person, no matter how skilled, cannot go. We need empathy, compassion, validation of hurt. We need clear and vulnerable communication, and we need to protect it. It should be possible to say on a Debian communication infrastructure, I don't feel good about this, but I can't tell why. With people say, well, then shut up if you can't tell why. And rather people say, okay, shall I rubber duck you and try to figure it out? Or something. We need to disentangle the personal from the technical, from the political, and address them independently. There are people in Debian with whom I wouldn't go out for coffee. Also, I don't like coffee, but yeah, I'm Italian, but I don't like coffee. As an Italian, coffee tastes to me like the burnt bit of the pizza crust. Anyway, there's people in Debian with whom I wouldn't socialize particularly personally, but with whom I would totally have a technical discussion. I respect their technical knowledge very much. And maybe we also agree with politics. And all of this, if I started saying, yes, technically you're right, but I hate your face. So I now spent an afternoon trying to work out where technically you are wrong because I hate your face. Then it's like maximizing the problems. If I have a problem with the person at one level, then I amplify it at all levels. And we all have a bit of a problem with any of us at some level because we are different. And okay, I'm perfect, so you are all different from me, so you must have some flaw. Right? And if I see it, then of course I can't trust you. Or something. Well, no, that doesn't work like that. But yeah, understand the level at which we are connecting and try to focus on that level. And we might need a different communication technology. I want to say it because I want to say it. So many problems with unmoderated mailing lists that I can't even begin to cope, but that's okay. Well, we need more sustainable community practices. We don't have as much value. We don't build as much value as a community per se as other kind of communities. You do something in Debian, mostly you have to advertise it to make people know it, to like one that in a Notion and you market your thing. Other places have, like OpenStreetMap has a mapper of the month that gets interviewed, and or Wikipedia has a page of the day, page of the month, that sort of thing. That there's something that celebrates the work of the community as a whole, a way of giving recognition and thanking the work of people. Give people positive feedback. I try to build contributors.debian.org so that people could go and see, hey, yes, you've done this since 2006. Yay, cool. And I will tell everyone that you did that because it's great. It's really hard to get it updated because it is not a priority currently of teams in Debian. We're going to have a session with Tasya about this later in DebConf. Come see it. A sense of direction and purpose. Every DPL election, except the last 4, because it was all the same, I kept asking, where do you see Debian in 4 years? Actually, I should have asked it and then see if that matches. But no, I'm joking here. Having a concrete hope for help and cooperation. Something that say, hey, this person is asking for help. Knowing that one is not being left alone. More community infrastructure that binds together the community, that gives a sense of community, that gives value to the community. And investing in people. Care about those who care, help those who help, support people through hard times, and when people are stuck, help them find ways of using their energy. They're really nice phrases. They're really complicated concepts. It's, but if there are people in Debian who we know care about Debian, who we know try to help people in Debian, I think it is important to understand that these people is the people we want to keep, and make sure that if they need help, they get it. Make sure that their existence in Debian is sustainable. And everybody existence in Debian needs to be sustainable, but some people like broadcast help a lot more, and those people become quite critical. And yeah, you go and ask them how they're doing, and maybe they tell you, but their emails are perfect. And that shouldn't happen. And then, as adults, it is important to fail. Not being allowed to fail is something that belongs to school and shouldn't. When you get out of school, you don't get marks anymore. And unfortunately, school teaches you that you can't not know. You can't not be able to do what is required of you. What it doesn't teach is to fail like an adult. It's okay to can't, but please can't responsibly. If you're holding back a theme, a block, or a feature, it is okay. It is okay. You can't do everything. But then, own it. Process the grief. You wanted to do something. You care about something. You're not managing to do it. It is a grief. Process it. Let go. Free that energy. the energy that keeps you waking up every morning thinking, damn, I said I wanted to do this, I really care, but today I can't. That energy is blocked, and freed for yourself. Acknowledge that this is not going to happen because it's not been happening, and there doesn't seem to be anything that's changing on that front. And free the energy of the project on that front, make space for others. Acknowledge errors or mistakes and accept them without judgment and self-judgment and build on that to improve. Yes, I fucked up on something. I accept it, and then I try to figure out why I fucked up and how I could maybe do it better next time. Which is like how faults are handled in the aerospace industry. Like, plane crashes because of some engineering problem. You don't shoot the engineer. Although, you know, people died. And in a capitalist society, who cares about people dying? But that plane was expensive. So you don't shoot the engineer because, well, the next engineer will make the same mistake, possibly. You try to work with the engineer, to work with the team, to figure out how that mistake could happen, and you try to improve the procedure so that that mistake doesn't happen anymore. And yeah, don't be afraid to let go. Why did the notification appear when I don't want them to appear? Okay. Being able to endure something does not equal an obligation to withstand it. How many people in Debian, how many among you understand that phrase really well? Oh, less hands than I thought, but yeah. So, as an adult, if you want to gain reputation, it's not like by doing everything perfect. It turns out that if you do everything perfect all the time, people will take you for granted and will ignore that you exist and just pile work on you. You become like a churning machine for getting things done that doesn't complain, that it just works. So yay, not worrying about you, just shoving work your way. The way you gain reputation as an adult is to know when there is a limit and communicate it. Then everybody will know they can trust you to do what you promised and not promise what you can't do. And if you promise what you can't do, to say it before it's too late. So let people know you're struggling. Document what you tried, what worked and what didn't. Document what you would have tried next, so that a person coming after you can pick up from where you've left, and then accept the grief and let go. Yeah, adulthood is saying, but after this week things will slow down a bit over and over until you die. Which, well, yeah. And then, well, being in touch with ourselves. I am bringing my presence in a shared environment when I interact with Debian. And in some other environments where I'm involved, there is a warning against entering a situation emotionally dirty, which means that if you go and interact with people in bringing in anger or frustration from the outside, that interaction is polluted by strong energy that doesn't belong in it. And you can make mistakes, you can hurt people. Now that emotionally dirty is an expression that makes sense maybe in that specific context I had in mind, but in Debian I would say we can learn to be mindful of our emotional states when we come to shared project spaces. What kind of energy am I bringing in? Am I bringing in negative energy because I've been having a bad day, or because some discussion triggers some bad experience? Am I bringing stop energy? Like, am I increasing friction? And am I like blocking something because I'm not understanding it very well, and it shouldn't keep going until I figure it out, because things are changing under my feet and I don't have control of it? Or is this kind of energy needed? Is this the energy I want to bring into the community at this point? It is hard. None of this is easy work. And some of it, for some of us, may require or have required therapy. But like building the universal operating system is like something that gives a sense of direction, some ultimate goal, so is building a sustainable community. So is having healthy conversations. It needs to be in the radar. It needs to be an accepted goal. And every day we need to figure out how to get there. And finally, we may need help as a project. Because having to pay the bills, having to approve funding requests, having to administer whatever, like read the logs and so on, is maybe not, or doing what needs doing, maybe not exactly what is fun to do. And it may not be the motivation why we're there. So it is important to also keep the work fun. There may be things with which we need help. People at work, stop working for a second. Okay. So we may need help with housekeeping. We may need help in figuring out how to improve community interactions. We may need to acknowledge that we need help. I mean, we're used to seeing problems in Debian and like, okay, we are Debian. We will find a solution. And yeah, that's like, we learn a lot of things that way in Debian, but then there are things like, okay, so let's write a diversity statement, and we reinvent it from first principles. And we have a beautiful diversity statement, but we reinvent it from first principles, or code of conduct, or constitution, and so on. And I mean, we are doing pretty well, all things considered, but sometimes we may want to ask for help. How do you mediate conflicts? Well, there's people doing that for work, and we may learn something. We can ask for training. We can ask for people to mediate something and then learn from them. We may offload some of the administrative business, some of the needing to deal with paperwork, and we need to be able to have fun knowing that the bills are being paid, the contracts are being renewed, the important emails are being answered. And you can tell I've been, in my last couple of years, working a lot with external entities in Debian that have deadlines, that need some paperwork signed for tomorrow, and la la la. Some paperwork signed for tomorrow in Debian is instant panic. That very idea gives me shivers. So yeah, adulting, realizing that we need to learn to take care of each other as a project, because we cannot rely anymore on someone else taking care of us. That is the point I wanted to make. I'm not expecting this to be implemented, because there's no real implementation strategy in here. What I wish is for this to become a topic, to be acknowledged as a priority in Debian, that investing in the community is equally important than investing in the work, in the single instance of work that we are doing. And that was the point I wanted to make, and I would invite questions.
I wanted to make a comment.
Okay.
So I fully acknowledge what you said, so thank you for putting this together. I think this is really needed, and you had a comment there like maybe we could pay for things, but I'm afraid, I thought about this is quite, how you say, would be quite good, but also might introduce another set of problems. So we need to really make a change and really be careful how we make it.
Yes.
And also I think we should really embrace togetherness and take care of each other.
Absolutely. Paying people is always a complex topic in Debian. We can't pay each person doing work in Debian, and the value of work in Debian is beyond any possible budget to be paid. And we don't want to introduce different levels of who are the best developers that deserve to be paid, sort of thing. But if there's something that nobody wants to do, then maybe if there's a problem that can be solved by throwing money at it because nobody else is volunteering to solve it, that may be an option.
I think we should kind of make a plan or kind of have an implementation design before
absolutely.
putting and thinking more about this. I'm not sure what's the framework or how we should go forward on that. I'm not sure if you thought about that or you have ideas.
But so the thing is, there are already things in Debian that we are paying for. Not with Debian money, but user merge is funded by Friction now. It is an insane job that nobody can possibly do as for fun, because there's a lot of mediation going on, there's strong opinions, there's complex data collection that needs to happen, and so Friction is funding that. So that is already something important for the project that is being paid. It's not paid by Debian itself, so yay, cool. There are like...
There are many examples.
Yeah, exactly.
Areas like confidential computing, no one is working on that. That's a key feature to going on the cloud. All the distros are enabling this feature. So there are like many technological challenges that we need to approach. We're also social challenges. So I think we kind of need to sit down, write down all these challenges and see what's the better framework to come up against that.
We may decide that we pay situations where there is a hard deadline. I don't know, the secure boot people need to reply to Microsoft within specific dates for things. And I don't know, and maybe it doesn't make sense. But if we know, the point is acknowledge where we have problems. One possible way of dealing with them is throwing money at them. Another possible way of dealing with them is improving that bit of the community. But skip it, like, not this. There's another question, and then there's another question.
Hello. I have a comment leading up to a question. So I think it is a very important point you made that if you are very efficient, like if you are over efficient, then people will start piling up work upon you. Yeah. Can you please go to that slide? I forgot which slide.
I don't remember which slide it was anymore, but something like
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
the hero thing. Oh yeah, here. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, now that is my comment. I think it is a very important point. And now I have a question.
Yeah.
So in my experience and my understanding, the change is sudden. At first, everybody will appreciate you and they will always ask you before putting responsibilities and work onto you. So it will be like that for a long time. And the change is sudden. Suddenly you will find yourself in a position where everybody is piling work on you. So if the change is sudden and you suddenly know you are already in that situation.
Yes.
If you are already in that situation, how do you get out of it?
I know the answer. I know the answer. TCP has the answer. Pushback, traffic pushback.
Okay, thank you.
Fail like a pro.
Thank you.
Don't be afraid to let go. Yeah, sorry. You gave me that. I tried. I got until this point. I cannot possibly continue. Please, I document where you are. I let go. Somebody else do it. Like, there's there and there's there. Oh, this. But yeah, I think this.
I'm not sure if it's a sensible question, but if I would ask you, what are your top 3 problems in Debian? So if amongst my top 3 problem is a lack of communication or proper communication. Would you agree that this is one of the problems, and would you like to add 1 or 2?
I think we have both lack of communication and too much communication.
Lack of proper communication is also too much.
Yeah, I think we don't have the right feedback loops in the communication. I have been part of other communities that have a different communication infrastructure where you have a thread, and you can tell from reactions where the contributions in the thread that people appreciated and the contributions in the thread that people didn't care much about. And that is already helping you to sort out more of a group thing and focus the communication effort in the part that seemed more relevant. We have none of that.
My question was about, do we have 1 or 2 other items you would rank on top, or it's
denial. When somebody is taking care of something, that something is not a problem. And then it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
And when it becomes a problem, it's a big problem. Core packages with a team of 1. We assume everything is fine until it's not. Andy?
That's kind of where I was going as well, and to stay on with your don't be afraid to let go statements. Failing like a serious pro is giving the warnings early and not letting everything pile up until right at the last minute when you explode. Shedding load before you get to that point. It's hard. I fail at it all the time. I regularly explode because I've got too much on. You're absolutely right. The better way to go, let people know you're struggling. Further down the line, start dropping things slightly earlier than you think you need to. Because by the time you need to drop them, you should have already dropped them.
Yeah, and a great way to make friends and build trust is not to help people, but to ask for help. It's counterintuitive, but it means it builds a connection. It opens the way for people to join you in a way that just say, I'll do it, excludes people from work.
Okay, my time is going off. Do you want to do some IRC questions, or shall we end it there?
Up to you.
There's none. Okay.
There's no time. Oh, sorry, IRC.
Shall we end it there? Any questions? Okay.
Did time run out? Or?
Yes, time ran out.
And then time.
Yeah.
End there, but start there. That was a good start.
Yeah.
Discussion, but let's continue.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I agree. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.